expert U.S. government.
I want to bring in our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr, with some new information about where this plane may have gone. Barbara, tell us.
Hi, Bill. Well, you know, people have been talking for the last day or so about the vast area of the Indian Ocean. CNN has learned there is a classified intelligence analysis conducted by the Malaysians, the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, the FAA, and U.S. military analysts that may have narrowed this Indian Ocean down a fair bit. And I know you're going to follow along with me on this as we begin to look at a map. What we have learned is this classified analysis took all of the radar data that we've talked about, the satellite pings we've talked about, all of the information, and looked reasonably at what the path the plane might have taken would be. As you look at that map, the plane, we know from radar, made a turn back over the Malay Peninsula. What this classified analysis tells us is the data shows it might have turned one of two directions. First up, north into the Bay of Bengal off of India. That is a place now that both the Indian military and some U.S. military assets are looking. Again, based on the data and the calculations, the southern search box, it might have turned south and flown for some distance in a southeasterly direction. That is the calculation. We've heard about those Andaman Islands. We're hearing about it flying further south in a southeasterly direction. Now, this isn't perfect knowledge again. These are calculations based on the analysis, but done by very expert U.S. government analysts working with the Malaysians based on the satellite data, based on the radar data, and based on all the pieces of information they have from those so-called pings from the aircraft, which we now know went to the Inmarsat satellite constellation, and they picked up some even more specific information.
Right. Well, Barbara, I'm your remote magic wall operator here, and so these are rough approximations of the areas you were talking about. But you understand, I just want to make clear, the U.S., they've divvied this up. U.S. efforts down here, the Indian Navy is searching up here?
To some extent, that's right. Now, let's start with the south. That's where, you know, we've all talked about this warship, the USS Kidd. I'm looking at the map with you. It has entered the northern end of the Strait of Malacca, and it is going to move out into the Indian Ocean, look around and see what debris field it can find. The U.S. also has some surveillance aircraft that can fly very long distances. They've already done a mission up to 1,000 miles out in the Indian Ocean. They're in the northern search box with the Indian military, who is also looking in the Bay of Bengal off the coast of India. But, you know, a lot of this is going to move around based on what they get as they begin to grid it off, look through the grids, clear some certain areas. I think in the coming days, we're going to see things move around a bit, some of those assets. But what it does tell us, Bill, is it's not the whole Indian Ocean, which is massive, which is probably impossible to fully search. It begins to narrow down the highly probable areas where they are looking.
But this is what's significant about your reporting, Barbara, is this is yet another new area to search. This southern turn that we're talking about hasn't even been discussed before.
Well, it comes really as you exit look at the northern end, as I'm looking at the map with you, the northern end of the Strait of Malacca. They've talked over the last couple of days, once they started saying they wanted to go into the Indian Ocean, that they would exit through that northern end of the Strait of Malacca, a little further down than where you're pointing, and come out into the Indian Ocean. Down there, that's it. And so what we now know is as they enter the Indian Ocean, as, you know, which we only started to hear about yesterday, we now know much better a little further south, that's the area they're going to focus on. That's what the calculation is telling them. Again, though, not perfect knowledge. This is the analysis that they've done. Things may move around a bit. Meteorological wind patterns, wave patterns could move things around. But this is where they're going to start. What it tells us, not the whole Indian Ocean. They've got a good idea of where they want to begin to look out there in that vast body of water.
You know just how troubling this is when not the whole Indian Ocean is the best news we can seize on.